Quaid Azam, Part 24. Question: was there any limits to the number of the prisoners and armed retainers? Answer: the prisoners requested Lord Auckland to be permitted to entertain as many men in his service as he thought proper. The Governor-General in reply accorded permission to his entertaining as many men as he could pay out of the income allotted to him. Question: it's the last question in fact in the code. Can you state the amount of pension granted by the government to the prisoner at the time of the outbreak? Answer: he was in receipt of a stipend of 1 lakh rupee per mensum, and which 99,000 rupees were paid at Delhi and 1,000 at Lucknow to the members of his family there. He also was in the receipt of the revenue to the amount of 1.5 lakh rupees per annum from the Crown lands in the neighborhood of Delhi. He also received a considerable sum from the ground rents of the houses and the tenements in the city of Delhi. And thus ended the great Mughaliya Sultanate. Mughaliya Sultanate is using the local dialect in fact. So it ended the Mughaliya Sultanate, Mughaliya dynasty, the Mughal dynasty, which is why 1857 was but an obituary. There really remained nothing more to end after General Lake's conquest. How Persian then became the petitioners? How patrons then became the petitioners? From about 1830 AD outwards, the Perso-Islamic culture withered, rather collapsed, and with bewildering speed. The prime cause was of course the increasingly confident assertion of a new and emerging power, the conquering culture of Britain. While they, the British of course, were already administrators of the large pots of India, trade, its protection and enhancement had almost as of right led to the ownership of the land and the conquest of the territory in parts of India. However, this collapse was not consequence of the British assertiveness alone, for while the British dismantled the cultural fabric from without, both the Hindus and the Muslims of the period undermined it from within, where after the shock of the great uprising of 1857 finally shattered the remaining illusions of the Perso-Islamic power. 1857 also smashed the grip of the Persianate aesthetics. There was another unintended consequence of this decline. For the British, it was principally 1857 that made them conscious of the Muslims. As Muslims, consequently, they then began to endow the community with a separate from the Hindu political character. This did not happen immediately and not quite as decisively as the written world might suggest. But certainly within a decade or so from 1857, the British had begun to treat Muslims as a politically collectivity. They treated them as occupying one of the two pans of the political balance of India. Here is how Thomas Metcalfe had summed up rather typically a British attitude to the uprising of 1857. The first sparks of the disaffection, it was generally agreed, were kindled by the Hindu sepoys. But the Muslims then fanned the flames of the discontent and placed themselves at the head of the movement, for they saw in these religious grievances the stepping stone to the regaining political power. So the blame was thrown upon the Muslims for the mutiny of 1857.